top 10 tag teams of all time. And again, the little caveat, if you want to put it that way, is that they didn't necessarily have to be champions. They didn't have to be a championship tag team. It's just your take on who you believe to be the top 10. So I'm just going to start going through it and go backwards. So Marco, I'll start with 10 and then go up to 1.
Yeah, fire away. Let's go through some lists.
So Greg Valentine and Brutus Beefcake.
Not bad, the dream team.
Number 9, Midnight Express.
So-so.
This is going to be tough judging today. I got a feeling. Number 8, the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Should be lower.
7, Edge and Christian.
Should be much lower.
6, the Hart Foundation.
Should be way lower.
5, the British Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Number 4, Volkov and the Iron Sheik.
Should be higher.
Number 3, the Killer Bees.
It shouldn't even be on anybody's list. You're stupid to put that on the list.
Number 2, Mega Powers.
No, they were around for one match.
And number 1 is the Road Warriors.
Good selection at number 1. I could live with number 1. But see, the thing is, I've had this debate with a lot of my wrestling friends, you know, who you are out there listening right now. Yard Dog, Coach Frank. You're sitting there, like we were talking about the Mega Powers, arguably 2 of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, teaming up, you know, the big handshake. But it was a match and a half.
That's pretty tough to say. One of the greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time. So, you know, but I don't know. It's not a bad list. Not a bad list.
Toad the Fox jumps in and said, he goes, I agree. Now, that's, again, chronologically, this might be off when I'm referring to this, so he might be talking about a different list. But he goes, I agree with the Hart Foundation, LOD.
Yeah, Legion of Doom. That's the Road Warriors.
The Bulldogs.
Yep.
The Dudley Boys.
Not bad, but I have a hard time putting them in my top 10.
The Hardys, but let's not forget the Hollywood Blondes. Steve Austin and Brian Pillman.
They were barely together, and that was so long ago. Those guys were better singles, not doubles.
The Young Bucks.
A very good independent team that's never really gotten a break or had wanted to advance to the WWE. I think it's more the latter.
The Outsiders.
Yeah, but you know what? When you're thinking Outsiders, you're thinking Scott Hall and Kevin Nash as singles, not doubles. So,
the Steiner Brothers.
Good team. Good team. I've never been a Steiner Brothers fan, but I know there's so many people out there that do like them. They come from a wrestling background, too. Michigan boys, actually. And they're built like trucks, like literally trucks.
The Freebirds.
A classic tag team of like the 70s, 80s. I was never a big fan, but definitely decent.
The Von Erichs.
They would not make my list.
Jurassic Express because of Luchasaurus. That might be my favorite name of the entire month.
Luchasaurus. Yeah, well, you know what? If I gave out a tag team list that said top like 80, then maybe they'd crack it. But I'm going to say maybe.
Okay, so let me just see if I can quickly, because there's a bunch of them. There's pictures. So we're going to go through this quickly. I did see a lot of pictures of Brutus Beefcake, Greg Valentine.
Yeah, the Dream Team. The Dream Team barely fell out of my top 10. I had them written down because you put down the teams off the top of your head and you kind of think to yourself, okay, what do I like? And then you start doing some research. Dream Team was on my original list of like 18, but didn't crack the top 10.
Brisky 27. So Steve, we haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah.
He put a little meme up there. I assume that's the video game.
Yep, that is the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal. So
with Mean Gene, that looks awesome.
Unfortunately, this guy to our left has passed away. Mean Gene passed away, and Animal is his kid actually plays in the NFL, Laurinaitis. That's his real last name. Decent linebacker. Played all over the place. I'm not sure where he is this year. I know he was with the Rams in the past and a couple other teams, but...
Okay, I'm going to try to squeeze this in. This is our buddy Stugatz. Stugatz says he's got number 9, which is interesting. Number 9, Volkov and the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, not bad.
Number 8, Freebirds / Von Erichs.
Okay, we're getting to slashes now. Okay. That's it. So we really don't have a top 10. We have like a top 17 or...
Number 7, any team managed by Bobby Heenan.
Not bad way of looking at it, actually, but you got to be specific with me.
Number 6, Razor Ramon and Diesel.
Yeah, no, I'm not putting them on my list, no.
Number 5, the Andersons.
The Andersons. That's going back to the Minnesota Wrecking Crew of the AWA and NWA, and I don't think they cracked the top 10. No. If you're going to go Andersons, you go Anderson and Tully Blanchard when they were part of the Four Horsemen.
Number 4, Steamboat and Youngblood.
No, not at all.
Number 4, British Bulldogs / Hart and Neihart. Hart and Neihart. So that's like two.
So you put two of the greatest tag teams in that. No, they're both in, and they're both their own category.
Stugotz is trying to trick us here.
Oh, he is.
2, the Funk Brothers.
No, definitely not.
Number 1, the Road Warriors, and then in parentheses, NWA, not the watered-down WWF Legion of Doom.
You know what, Stugotz? That's the smartest thing you wrote on that entire thing. I'm not making fun. I'm just saying that's so true. Because when they came into WWE, WWF, it was a watered-down version, and they came out with different looks, managers, and the true Road Warriors are what we saw in the Georgia South area kind of thing.
See, Stugotz is part of that Richard's Army. He's hardcore for us. He is on there all the time.
And you know what? You made a nice list, but when we say 10, we're not talking about 15.
But he's a Richards guy, so he's trying to cheat to win. I respect that. Hey, if you're not cheating, Dave, you know what they say. If you ain't cheating.
I know we're up against the break soon, but in about 15 minutes' time, we'll get to Yard Dog because he's listening.
Yes.
Coach Frank, because I know he's probably listening around that time, and we'll go through some other lists. But if there's any more, fire away.
Oh, yeah. Frank's up. Christian, that's when he goes out for a smoke.
Is that what he does?
I'll be in a second. I said a second. That better not be oatmeal. I told you. I swear to God, I'm going to lose it. I mean, completely going to lose it. We will do this throughout the morning, by the way. Quick one from Jackson 195.
Yeah.
Heart Foundation #1, Brett, Jim, and Jimmy.
I have no problem with that.
Well, I think you're going to hear a lot of that today. Newstalk Sauga 960, Raw Mike Richards. We are jam-packed here this morning on your Friday. Good way to start off the weekend. And for the real Grelber, he really likes this. He's really enjoying the show. He goes, what morning talk show, other than the most awesome one on the continent?
Whoa.
That's a big compliment.
That is.
Cover tag team wrestling. Wrestling is the junk food of your diet, but by God, it's a lot of fun. We're actually having a lot of fun here this morning.
So true. Well put, too. I know a lot of people will shun it. Then all of a sudden we talk about it, and it's like, this is the greatest thing ever. Because it's right. They're right. They're true. It's especially throwback wrestling.
If it was that embarrassing and that bad and that horrible of a business model, I'm pretty sure Fox wouldn't have done what they just did. And they put a wrestler halftime of their Thursday Night Football last night. Probably not a loser in their eyes. The real Grel Barossa said Crusher Blackwell and Baron von Raschke.
AWA going old school on me. That's bread and butter. Minneapolis, Winnipeg. That's kind of like the territory, and all the Dakotas in between. Oof, Jerry Blackwell.
He said, "What about the Dudleys?"
I didn't mind them, but the thing I didn't like about some of those teams, and Dudleys are Hall of Famers. I know that, but the thing is, they were in an era where it's like win a tag belt, lose a tag belt, win a tag belt, and then you do it like 4 or 5 times, and then the month is over. And then at the end of the career, it's like, hey, they're the 17-time. It's you're not really.
That's hard. That's hard to do because again, and this isn't about champions either. This is so we got more music. Is
no, but that's kind of like argument, right?
Yeah.
Like Yard Dog and I have gone back and forth, and he's like, they're the 10-time champions. It's like, yeah, but they won like 8 belts within the course of 3 weeks. It's like win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We got the Yard Dog here because he's listening right now as he is.
And we'll go through his list in about 2 minutes because he's part of our segment here. So I'll dig it up if you have anything else.
I've got it here.
Oh, you got it right there. Fire away.
Okay, here we go.
Let's pick this apart.
Courtesy of the most generous Yard Dog. Number 10, New Age Outlaws.
Yeah, good choice. He's on my list too.
He's on your list. Number 9. The Steiner Brothers. Not bad. Never made my top 10, but he's in love with the singlet, I guess. For all the wrong reasons.
Yep.
Number 8, the Dudley Boys.
Yeah, I already talked about that. I wouldn't have put them on the list.
7, Edge and Christian.
Should have been a lot lower. A lot lower.
6, the Freebirds. Once again, the Freebirds have come up a couple of times now.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of people are trying to change my mind, but you know what? It's not working. No.
Here's another what I thought is, in the list higher, the Heart Foundation is 5.
Yeah, number 5. Yeah, me and him go back and forth on that too. I don't get it. They're one of the foundation pieces of what was the greatest generation of tag teams, and they were it. And they're number 5. That makes no sense to me.
Number 4, ahead of them, the Rockers.
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
Are the Rockers top 10?
Rockers almost hit. I'm trying to.
Hey, I liked their promo pictures last night. That's why I put it on there.
Rockers made my top 10, but you can add 5 to the 5 that it's at.
I think that's who we could have been.
The Rockers?
Yeah.
But you know what? There was only one good rocker though. The other one was a loser. Loser.
Well, I guess we'll have to fight over which guy's the loser. Number 3, the Hardy Boys.
Absolutely.
Number 2, Harlem Heat.
Absolutely. I'm surprised.
First time I've seen this name.
I'm surprised. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm surprised more people haven't put Harlem Heat on your list. If you haven't put Harlem Heat on your top 10, then your list is not very good.
Number 1, and this name I see a lot, the Road Warriors.
Absolutely. They're in that conversation of 1, 2, or 3, depending on how you rank, what you saw, what you feel, whether you like them or not, because, they were villains, they were faces, they were heels, they were faces, so they kind of went back and forth. So
the real Relber sends this picture. Who am I looking at?
You're looking at Sergeant Slaughter when he turned heel in the middle, which was a phenomenal heel turn. To go from U.S. General to part of the Iraqi.
Oh, that's a traitor. That's a traitor.
Yes, and of course the Iron Sheik on the right. And I think that I forget what that other guy's name is. It's not Colonel Mustafa, because Mustafa was a Sheik later on. But anyway, that's another. Yeah, no, that's a very good. That's an amazing heel team.
The Sheik looks terrible in that beret-looking thing.
That
is not the look he should have.
No. He did his best when he's wearing the Iron Sheik attire with Nikolai Volkov.
Okay, as we go through, there's a lot of pictures, obviously, so we can't get to those. We'll have Coach Frank coming up.
Yeah, when am I getting to my top 10? When should we do it, like late 7 o'clock hour?
Yes, that's when we're going to do it.
Okay, so we'll do it around 7:50, because we'll have our CBC team at 7:40. We'll talk to them for a bit, and then we'll go after, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Just so people know.
This is one of these days we'll try to squeeze everything, so you have to listen to the whole show. That's
sorry.
kind of what we're saying today.
General Adnan is the guy on the far left. So it's Adnan, Slaughter, and the Sheik.
I guarantee you, because of the era that was, back in that particular time, Adnan Khashoggi was one of the richest men, one of the big billionaires of all time. Adnan Khashoggi. And he would show up. That was one of my favorite words, doing the rich and famous. Robin Leach was always talking about, look at this super yacht worth $1.2 billion, owned by who else but Adnan Khashoggi. Adnan. I'm pretty sure that's where they came from. By the way, Nelson.
Yes.
Nelson chiming in here from last night.
Oh, fire.
Now, I don't know in what order, but he's got Heart Foundation.
Yep.
Powers of Pain.
I would not make my top 10. Nope.
Hardy Boys.
Sure.
Demolition.
Yes, for sure. More Demolition, too. I mean, Demolition was the WWF's counter to the Road Warriors. And you know what? At times, they came across as better and bigger.
Wow.
So,
that's the first time I've seen this name, too.
Yeah, Demolition's on my top 10. And it should be on your top 10 today. So
there's the Road Warriors.
Yep, for sure.
DX.
See, I have a hard time putting DX on that group, because technically DX is Shawn Michaels and Triple H, but DX is more known as the group.
Right.
So that's like the 4 or 5 members of it in China kind of thing. So that was like, so D-Generation X was Hunter, Michaels, the New Age Outlaws, China, and then X-Pac, which is also the 1, 2, 3 Kid, which is also Sean Waltman, which is, so it's like, it's the group, right?
I think that you should be more informed when you talk about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I got to do some more research.
The Brothers of Destruction.
You know what? I like it.
These are some great names in here, by the way.
Yeah.
Even if some of these I don't even recognize, but that's a great name.
So that is Kane and the Undertaker.
Wow, Kane and the Undertaker.
Yeah, but they were so limited together that you cannot sit there and say, no, they're one of the greatest. It's like, no, because they've only tagged up maybe 5 times in their lives.
See that if you want, I mean, that would be outstanding.
Oh,
if they put that
longevity
emphasis on it. Yeah.
If they sat there and had the same sort of run as the Dudley Boys, or but no, those guys were good enough to be singles, just like the Rockers. So Marty Jannetty was the loser. Shawn Michaels was arguably one of the greatest wrestlers in the history of wrestling. So they were a tag team.
Okay, so that picture I put out, and I'm looking at it. So I'm probably the loser guy.
None of us are losers. Okay, none of us are losers. But that's why you almost have to include them, because that tag team gave birth to Mr. WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels is as a top 3 wrestler of all time. I'm very confident in saying that.
The Steiners in for Nelson,
sure.
Edge and Christian,
should be really high on that list.
Bulldogs,
absolutely, one of my favorites of all time.
And Natural Disasters.
No, not at all.
Because I think you've thrown them
under the bus.
Yeah, they've
several times. Big team, though. I mean, when you combine for almost 800 pounds, that's a pretty big team.
Yeah.
Typhoon and Earthquake. You don't want to get into those. All you were missing was Hurricane, and
that was his move too, wasn't it? Wasn't it the Earthquake? What was his?
Well, it was a splash. Eh?
The splash.
Yeah. So
that's not good.
When 400 pounds lands on you, wink, wink.
Yeah. What is that gross thing that Yokozuna used to do?
Yeah.
When he'd sit on your face or whatever.
Off the top rope, he'd go backwards. And then he'd land on you, but of course he's holding onto the rope. So when he'd land on you, it'd be like,
it's still way too close. When I first time I saw that, and I not saying, oh, here it comes, Yokozuna, and then the guy would be like his face not in a good place. I'm like, oh my God, that's disgusting.
To see Yokozuna up close is a marvel in itself.
He would be the size of the studio.
It's I saw Yokozuna and Owen Hart when they were a tag team, and he walked by me literally this close. And it's like, you can't help to stare. You just like, wow, that's phenomenally large.
By the way, when he comes in for the interview, try not to stare.
You can't help it.
He's 787 pounds.
Yeah, you can't help it.
Where am I going to look? So I was just wondering.
I can't see behind.
Are you
Japanese? Just like I once interviewed Abdullah the Butcher at an independent house show, and I'm basically this close to him, and the entire time I'm staring at his forehead, because the guy was known for cutting himself.
Oh God, yeah,
cutting himself,
yeah.
and then
looking like he's bleeding.
Yeah, and
that's old school.
Yes, it is, and he did this every single night for probably 30 years. So all the scarring that's on his face. And then afterwards, I'm like, I apologize. I can't stop looking at your forehead. And he's like, everybody does.
Can you imagine after? Now, look, as I've always said, it doesn't matter what your life is. As big a star as you is, as much money as you can make. If you're married, you're having the same conversations we all do.
Yeah.
So he comes home, quote unquote, after work. He comes in. And she said, so did you cut yourself again? No. Let me see your head. Steve, because it's probably his real name. Probably Steven. This has got to stop. But I go in the ring and I need to win in the blood. How about ketchup? Can you get packages of ketchup? Because this is really going to leave a mark. And I got to tell you, not helping in the bedroom. Not helping in the bedroom.
Drawing blood in the. Yeah, I know. But his face, his face, and especially his forehead, because he'd actually show me how you do it, because he had so much tape on him that he'd have little razors, and when he'd go, he
sounds like half the pitchers in Major League Baseball about 1978.
Exactly, scuffing up baseballs, but he'd scuff his own face up. So what he would do is technically he'd sit there, and when you go outside the ring, he'd be like, and then he'd slight slice, and then as he's working his hand into his face, he would draw the blood.
And then there's, oh my goodness, there's bleeding profusely.
And this is something that he said, he said once blood's on someone's face, unless you're taking a hot towel to it, it's staying on your face.
Oh no, it's brutal. I mean, that's
So
why
the look
they stop
is,
it and all that. Whether it's UFC, UFC they kind of let it go a little bit. Boxing, immediately, they will try to stop it, and if they can't stop it, that's why you can't be a bleeder.
Yep.
Fight is over. Your career's over if you bleed.
Oh, big time.
A bleeder is just, and sometimes it's just genetics. Right? Just the luck of the draw. You could be the toughest guy in the world, but if you bleed all the time, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, it is. But this guy, man, he never made it as far as, a television career where it was like years and years on TV just because of his style, but maybe one of the biggest independent people ever. Strike Force.
We're a Strike Force.
Oh, no, this is Girls in Cars. That's the name of the song.
Strike Force.
Jim's there right now.
Jim from New Jersey. That's what you are now. Jim from New Jersey. Thanks for joining the show here this morning.
Hey, boys. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for putting on Strike Force for me. That's a great theme song, Girls in Cars. Probably one of the more underrated tag teams ever in the history of wrestling. Just a great team, Rick the Model Martel and Tito Santana.
Well, actually, those are big. That's a big time. Those are big time names.
Arriba, much better than the Can-Am connection. Would you agree, Jim?
Absolutely, much better than Can-Am connection.
Who's Can-Am? Who were the Can-Am?
Tom Zink and Rick Martel. So Tito,
Rick Martel, the
model, Rick Martel.
Oh, okay.
Arguably one of the great Canadians of all time. Very underrated too. I got to know Rick a little bit because he'd stay in Winnipeg for extended stays with Tony Condello's promotion in Winnipeg. But that's another story for another time. Jimmy, your top 10 list. What do you got for us? Give us some names.
I got Demolition, the Hart Foundation, Rock and Roll Express, the Road Warriors, the Hardy Boys, Dudleys, Edge and Christian. This one might draw some controversy because it's more new age and more indie scene, but the Young Bucks, the Midnight Express, and the New Age Outlaws.
It's not a bad list. And you know what? Bucks has come up on our list a couple people. If people don't appreciate the independent scene, then you're missing something here with the Bucks. I don't know if I'd put them on a top 10 all time, but these guys are basically, how they talk about the best player outside of the NHL? Well, these guys are probably the best tag team outside of the bigs as far as WWE is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen them, Ring of Honor, when they came around when they were with New Japan.
Yep.
They've had great matches over there. Now with AEW, All Elite Wrestling. I mean, that's just another competition. I mean, I don't know how much you were able to catch Wednesday night, but my eyes were glued on NXT and AEW, and it was just a great night of wrestling.
You know what, Jim? I think AEW stole the show, though, when you're comparing the two products.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I mean, they even did it in the ratings, too.
Yeah.
And it was a great product. NXT, it felt more like a takeover. And, yeah, it would have drawn the crowd, but it really didn't because AEW's got something special going on.
No, Jim from Jersey, do you go over to Bon Jovi's house and watch stuff, or what happens? Do you know Bon Jovi?
No, not over to Bon Jovi's house. Not even to Bruce Springsteen's house. Just at my friend's house. We watch wrestling like all of us have been friends forever. Grew up watching wrestling, and we just like it. And, it's just one of the passions that you can't give up, especially when there's new competition in town.
Yeah, and I'm not going to Bruce's house because every 5 minutes, like, hey, do you want to hear a song? No, I really don't.
Hey, Jimmy, before we let you go here, how badly are the Winnipeg Jets going to beat up on the Devils tonight?
I don't know. The Devils, it's their home opener. I mean, the Jets looked pretty good last night. I'm not going to lie. In a loss to the Rangers, that top line scares me for Winnipeg.
Yeah.
I keep telling everybody, I said, Laurent Brossoit is a good goaltender.
He
Don't
is.
take him lightly. And I think the Devils are going to have a harder time than people actually think.
Really? Because I got them to make the playoffs. I like their team, and I think they're actually. I love the additions. I love the Russian they brought in. Of course, Jack's going to play. Taylor Hall is healthy. PK Subban's. I mean, there's if Corey Schneider has a comeback season, and don't sleep on Mackenzie Blackwood. I got a chance to see him a lot up here with the Barrie Colts. I think this guy could be the real deal. I think he actually steals the net.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that about Blackwood stealing the net. I mean, I think the Devils will win tonight, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I have the Devils making the playoffs as well. I like what they bring. Gusev, Jack Hughes, Taylor Hall is going to bounce back. PK Subban on the back end. He fits the city, the town perfectly with his personality. And again, he keeps telling everybody, hey, I play in New Jersey. I don't play in New York. This is the Devils. It's a hometown team. This is where I want to play. You know, great addition. Nico Hischier put on weight. And everybody forgets about the Swede, Jesper Boquist, that they brought in on an ECL.
That's right.
And his entry-level deal, I saw him play. So they have a good team, but when they face goalies they've never faced before, they usually struggle, and that's their pattern. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think the Devils will win tonight. I'll be in the building, but I think it'll be a lot closer than a lot of people think it's going to be.
Okay, Jim from Jersey, could you do something in the crowd that will, let us know that you're there, like shirtless, or is there some? Could you paint your face like really different, like not just like a Devil's face, but a different?
He's probably in the press box. I don't think he can do that.
Sure, you can.
Yeah, I don't think I'm allowed to do that.
Oh no, you're totally allowed to do that.
I can find some fans for you that have painted faces, and I can send it your way.
Yeah, I'd like that. Hey, we got to run. Jim from Jersey, thanks for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure, man.
All right, always a pleasure. Take it easy. Have a great weekend, guys.
That is Jim from Jersey. By the way,
good guy.
As we are geographically addressing our fans in that area, Donald Rosner sent me something yesterday.
Let me guess, his favorite tag team is Mike Bossy and Brian Trottier?
No, it says, let's go Islanders, Leafs suck.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So I sent a gift back to him. It's saying, why are you yelling at me? All morning long, we've been doing the top 10 tag teams of all time.
Of all time.
They don't have to be champions, by the way. This is just, what you feel for you are the top 10. We've got a whole bunch. David, you just put yours. Have you put yours publicly on Twitter yet?
I have not.
Okay. Because we have a bunch. We've got the real D-Pan. Haven't heard from him in a long time.
Nope.
Tor Habs fan has his list.
Yep.
But first, let's get to the master, David Bastl, and his top 10 tag team list.
Okay, thank you so much, Mike, otherwise known as Mean Mike. No, it's Mean Gene. I can't steal names for you.
Can't.
We'll figure something out. Okay, here we go. Number 10, I got the New Age Outlaws at number 10. One of the best recent tag teams. When I say recent, 20 years, because it almost seems like the tag team department's kind of fallen off the face of the earth. It really doesn't exist anymore. I know there's tag teams out there, but it's just simply not as good as it used to be. Outlaws are kind of that throwback to it. At number 9, I got the Sheik and Volkov. No team out there drew as much heat as these two. When you put a guy from Russia, allegedly, and a guy from Iran, yes, he was born there, and put them together, sing national anthems, and make fun of the United States, you're on my top 9 list. I love the United States, by the way. Number 8, I have the, I went slash on this only because they're similar names, Rock and Roll Express and the Rockers. I put the Rockers in there just because it was the birth of Shawn Michaels to the WWF, WWE at the time, and he's simply maybe one of the most outstanding performers of all time. He started as a tag team. At number 7, Demolition. Yes, the WWF's version of the Road Warriors, or the Counter. Not as good as the original, but damn, were they good. And they had some awesome music and a great look to them as well. At number 6, the British Bulldogs. They were only tag team champions one time, but man, you talk about...
It seemed like it was more than that.
Athletic-wise, this might be one of the greats of all time. Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid. Aerial attacks everywhere. Maybe the most athletic team and maybe the best looking as far as what the look like with the British Bulldogs at number 6. At number 5, I have Harlem Heat. This music right here, Stevie Ray and whatchamacallit, who ended up being a lot better as a singles wrestler. But when you look at what Harlem Heat did as a team, this was basically a foundation piece of WCW, and they had a fantastic look with Sister Sherry as their manager, Sherry Martel.
Scary Sherry?
Scary Sherry. She had a lot of different names, but she was awesome with these two in tow. At number 4, I have the Hardy Boys. You talk about taking Ariel to another dimension, and you look at like ladder matches, any sort of table, chairs, ladders matches that they've been in. These guys were outstandingly great. I love them as a team, and of course, Mike, you can appreciate that theme music because the Hardys have some pretty cool theme music as well. At number 3, Edge and Christian. These guys took it to another level, and the entertainment value of the interview, the 5-second pose, everything like that in the ring with Edge and Christian. These guys were great. Great as singles, too. This is one of the few tag teams on the entire list, and challenge me on this if you want, that when the team split, both guys actually turned out to be superstars and should be Hall of Famers. Edge is in. I have no idea why Christian isn't in. He's also a former WWE heavyweight champion as well. At number 2, I got the Road Warriors at number 2. These guys were everything that wasn't WWE, WWF. It was the counter. It was the rebel alliance of the opposition of WWE, WWF, because of course Canada, you watch mostly that, and then you look on the other side and you go, wow, look what they have over there. Hawk and Animal, I even used to watch them in the AWA where they actually started off, because they were in there with Jesse the Body start, Hulk Hogan start, Ken Patera, guys like that, Mean Gene. Those guys were outstanding even back then. And at number 1, the best tag team of all time, in my opinion, the Hart Foundation, with Jimmy Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Bret Hart. These guys were outstanding. Yes. They had that look. They made Pink look cool. Yeah. They made Pink look cool. And even when they wore out the teal blue style, that cool blue they came out with, these guys were awesome. This is when Bret Hart was, I'm not going to say it was his best of his best, but when he had the greasy hair and the cool sunglasses, and these guys were the definition of cool. They were the heel tag team that were fun to watch, and Jimmy Hart pushed them to another level. That's why I have the Hart Foundation at number 1.
Maybe they were ready. Awesome. Nicely done. We will have that later on today. Alan Frew now bombing me publicly on Twitter.
Who was?
Alan Frew. This is the second time in 24 hours that Alan Frew has now calling me a daft bastard.
Oh, don't forget me when I'm gone, Alan. Don't forget me.
Miss part of the show? We got you covered. Follow Mike and David on Twitch TV.